Today's video is all about our chicken production, from our meat hens to our layers, the feed that we use, and I'm going to answer some questions about our processing equipment. So join with us as we get to work today on Shady Brook Farm. As we get into the end of October, our weather is changing pretty rapidly. We're coming to the end of our growing season on our meat birds as well as the grazing season for our cows. The pastures are about spent and we're running out of places to put the meat birds. We'd come to one of our roads going up this hillside and we couldn't continue progressing the shelters just 12 foot at a time as we normally do on our daily moves. So we had to move them up this hillside to get them to an area where there was some more grass and room to move them. The birds didn't like going up the hill, nor did they like being moved so far at once, and it made for a pretty frustrating time trying to get them to go where I needed them to. So I did get them where I wanted them to be and got the shelter set up to continue moving on in straight lines with these birds, and that's made moving them since then a lot easier. There's some pretty decent grass where they're at now, and we're able to do our regular moves. These shelters are 8 by 12 foot, and 50 to 60 birds works pretty good in them. There's some wheels, some 8-inch wheels on the back that I use to help me move these shelters. So all in all, it's not too bad, just moving them a little bit at a time. For the last 2 years, we've been feeding our chickens organic feed from Reedy Fork farm down in Elan, North Carolina. The mill's a ways away from us, but there's a distributor in the next county over. So the most economical way for us to get their feed has been in these 1-ton bags. Right now, the easiest way for us to unload the feed is with a bucket brigade. So when feed comes, it's an all hands on deck kind of day. Nonetheless, this has been a great way for us to offer an organic chicken and eggs for our customers. In addition to being organic, this feed is also soy-free. When we first got it, I was surprised by how much it smells like peas, because that's what's being used to replace the protein provided by the soy. It took me a while to get the ration figured out to make sure that the birds were performing the way they should, but now I think I've got it dialed in, and we've been really happy with this feed. With everyone helping out, it takes 30 to 45 minutes to unload one of these big bags. We're storing our feed in 55-gallon drums in the barn, and it takes 6 of them to hold a full ton of feed. Currently our laying flock is between 50 and 60 hens, and they've got 3 of these hanging feeders inside their coop. These feeders are rated for around 35 pounds, and it takes about 5 days for the birds to empty them. It also makes morning chores quite a bit easier since I'm not having to feed the birds every day. I've got to where I really like feeding the hens inside of their coop. It helps them know where they're supposed to be as far as their laying boxes and roost poles are concerned, and it also helps keep the dog from eating their chicken feed. We've had a couple of requests to talk some more about our chicken processing equipment, namely our plucker and our kill stand. So this plucker is a homemade unit based off a design from a guy up in New York State named Herrick Kimball. He called these whiz-bang pluckers. So basically what we've got is a 2x4 frame supporting a pickle barrel with a 3 1/4 horsepower motor driving a big pulley that is going to turn the machine. The unit has a waterproof switch on it that operates the motor, and that's going to drive this aluminum plate that's here in the bottom with all these fingers on it. One thing about this unit is feathers can get stuck right in this corner. Everything's spinning counterclockwise, and that can be a frustrating part of it. So often we have to adjust the tensioner. I've got a wedge in there because that spring could be a lot more robust. But the unit works good. As a whole, it could be easier to clean, but it works pretty well for us. Our kill stand is of my own design. It's utilitarian and certainly not pretty. I put it together using some ripped down 2x4s. One of the challenges was getting it to stand, so I put 1x on the bottom with supports on 45s to hold it. The top has 2 pieces that go across to support the cones in a rack type fashion. The trough is made from a 55-gallon drum. When I cut the side out of it, I left the bottom intact to use that as a support to hang the trough on the rack. The bottom that's left on the tub, as well as this piece that was from the side I cut out, being attached to the sides of the rack, do a nice job of helping contain the blood as the chickens are bleeding out and directing it not only into the bottom of the trough but also down into the tub that's beneath it. And that was just a mineral tub for the cows. I tried using this system without that tub hanging from the rack, but I didn't build the rack wide enough to get 2 of those tubs underneath, and trying to use 5-gallon buckets was just frustrating. So this has worked out pretty well for us. So that wraps it up for today. We hope you enjoyed it and you'll join us for the next one.